Hello and welcome to the next episode of What Rubbish, a podcast dedicated to Alka Ohri and the Alka Ohri Foundation, the founder of which is right with us, Ahjay Ohri, who has pretty much dedicated his life to improve the quality of treatment that breast cancer patients received with a holistic approach.
Hello, everyone. Excited to be here, and we're looking forward to this particular episode. I think the topic today relates more with the mindset or the mindfulness, I would say, and the impact that meditation had when Alka was going through the treatment.
So tell us about that, Ajay. What actually happened that made you and both Alka feel? You talked about this, right? That mindfulness is not just a buzzword. It's not just not a soundbite. It really helps in this kind of a situation.
Absolutely, Kumar. I think there are two things. When a person is going through, or when the person hears the first time that they've got cancer, it's basically a bombshell. And I think when Alka went for the to the radiologist and she looked at the outcome, she heard the outcome. She could not believe it. It was basically more than what rubbish for her, and nobody in the family had cancer, so it was like what to do at that particular moment. And so I think that's a first mindset that happens, that the person is full of fear, whether they're going to live, what's going to happen, because the next word of cancer automatically becomes like a death. It's like, what do you do? And I think we had to go through those motions collectively. I think having a family around makes a very important factor, because all of us, we were around at that particular moment. And I remember me and her sister, Anjali, we drove and we were looking for oncologists. That's the only thing that came to your mind. We need to find an oncologist. And lo and behold, we found out that somebody, very close friend of ours, whose son works at Memorial Sloan Kettering, we were able to identify an oncologist because of them. But anyway, the network that we have, we were very thankful. But what was going on in Alka's mind, it's very difficult to read from outside versus what the person goes from inside themselves. But I know the fear was the one factor. And I think during that course, I clearly remember that she had to strengthen herself. But internally, Alka is a kind of a person that she would not show you her weakness. But she was mentally trying to become very strong. But it was difficult for her to do that. So that was one aspect when it happens to you. Then during the course of treatment, once the treatment is prescribed, then you worry about the side effects. How will my body take? She knew the fact that the hairs will be gone and whatnot, and there will be other side effects with the chemo. And we did not know what to expect, but I think the doctors were very clear in terms of helping us to identify these possible side effects and what would be the remedy for that. But the side effects are really worse because it's basically poison coming to your body and it weakens you. So that's another mindset that you have to go through as to, when you're feeling the pain in the bones and having a nausea, and it's worse kind of a feeling. The person who goes through knows it more than what I can describe. But just watching her on the bed and what the pain that she went through was horrendous. It was terrible. But she had to prepare herself mentally strong that she is going to survive. That attitude had to come through, and I think as a family we were able to help her to some degree. But I think when she started getting more spiritual aspect, where she also started joining a group of women who are discussing the more on the spiritual aspect, like from our Hindu culture, it was Gita. And I think that also helped her.
So this was like morning phone calls. She used to do it
Yeah,
every morning
exactly.
for a while. For about how many months do you think?
Almost a year, actually.
Almost a year. So she'd get on a phone call every morning with
Yeah.
this group of people,
Yeah.
and they would do what? Meditation together?
No, they
or-
were basically talking each chapter of Gita, what the
Right.
verses meant. It basically took her away from the pain that she was going through, focused more on the spiritual aspect.
Yeah.
I think mentally that is very important, because your mind, the way your mind is thinking will also dictate your action and the feelings that you go through, as you know. And I think this basically distracted her from the negative side, but focused more on the positive side. And another thing that she started doing was meditation. And I think she and we did it together. That helped her significantly, because it basically relieves the stress through the body. Because major cause of any disease today, including cancer, is the stress that you go through. Being as a mother, as a daughter, as a working woman, as a wife, what have you. There are multiple stress factors that basically comes through your system. And I think I wouldn't say that she was a very servitude type of a person, and for her, parents were everything. And parents were sick, they were healthy, they were good at times, but she took it a personal responsibility to take care of them, whether it be in India, whether she would be bringing them over here, being the elder in the family, oldest in the
Yeah,
family.
she felt responsible for everything, even though she wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think during the course of her treatment, I think one of the major help that she had was not only the family support, but I think the meditation really helped her quite a bit. A significant help, because meditation, what it did was relaxed her quite a bit, reduced her stress. She felt better. And in fact, we even had a person who helped us from India. We were on phone calls, Zoom phone calls with him, and he told her how to focus her breath on the area which was being affected. And that helped her quite a bit also.
But so when you say helped her quite a bit, did you see any difference? I know you mentioned a little bit in an earlier episode about how you actually could see measurable difference when she was doing all of that, getting on the Gita classes and doing the meditation. So medically, you saw some benefits?
There was a benefit, because I think she felt a lot more relaxed. She was talking, walking. We were able to travel places. And I think there was a moment where there was a direct impact in her activity of the cancer in the body reduced. Plus she was getting chemo. I think the real benefit that I see these holistic elements, holistic factors play, holistic treatment plays, that it makes the medicine work also in a positive way. I don't think there is any single treatment for a disease. I think what's more important is a combination of stuff. The food that she took, the exercise that she did, the meditation that she did. I think all these factors did have a collective role to play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we all know the power of the mind, But what specifically, right now, this is more like you almost found out about this. Even though intuitively you knew, you've always been a spiritual person. You know that there is benefit to, mindfulness and spirituality and getting some foundation. You knew that. But it was almost accidental that you found out with Alka, right?
That is
how
true.
do you make it, what is your path forward strategy within the foundation? And with your pharma background, with all the connections you have, how do you think you're going to make it more of less of a intuitive thing and more of a structured thing? What would you tell? I know that even today, people that get diagnosed reach out to you.
Yeah.
So even though you don't have enough data yet, what kind of assurances that you can give to somebody? Let's say somebody watching this and has been recently diagnosed. What are the things they can do that you feel could benefit them?
Yeah, that's a good question, Kumar. I think it's a very loaded question also. It's not a question that can be answered in one episode. That's another different episode. Actually, we're going to bring experts onto this podcast who are going to enlighten this. But I think I've heard this many, many times that you are what you eat. And I think that is very, very clear, because the food that we eat basically is going to your system, which is basically is making a lot of positive and negative impacts, mostly negative impacts, because the food that we're eating is not a healthy one. So I think the number one thing is you got to know what you're eating. Okay, green food is very good. Fruits are very good. Eliminate sugar completely from your system if you can. I think that would be ideal, because sugar is something that the cells will attract, the cancer cells will attract. And I think my recommendation is that people who don't have cancer but they have a family history of cancer, they got to watch their diet. They need to exercise daily. We have seen, in fact, I spoke to a few exercise oncologists who say that if a woman is exercising 4 times a week, even 30 minutes a day, 4 times a week, they can take away cancer out of the system. Then there is enough data that if you eat Ayurvedically or vegetarian meal, eliminate meat, pork, fish, chicken, eliminate this from your diet, even to a certain degree eggs also. They have seen that the pure vegetarian food is ideal for your body, because our body is not designed to eat fatty stuff, is not designed to eat meat and all that stuff. Is designed basically to eat vegetarian. But that's a very difficult decision for some people to make. But if you make those decisions, there has been data out there that you will prolong your life in a better way. You will live more healthy living life.
Yeah.
Which is very important.
I get it. People don't have to do everything all at once. When you get diagnosed, like you said, it's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
And we got to be careful, because everybody and their uncle is going to give you advice. Everybody is going to tell us what to do, and so we got to take it gradually too. Take it step by step, right? Maybe a person may not become vegetarian right away, but they can start exercise, right?
Yeah.
Little by little they can. And it's also you kind of realize it, right, when you go through it. I know that it's not that you've been a vegetarian all your life. I've seen you eat everything from steak to then you gave up red meat and you gave up chicken, then you're eating fish, right? You still eat seafood, so it's not like you've been purely vegetarian all your life.
Like they say, it's very easy to give advices to people,
right?
But when it comes to you, it is not the easiest thing to do. But disciplining yourself is very important. You eat things in a balanced way is also very important. But the key factors are you have to be very careful what foods you are picking from the market.
Yeah.
And the so-called organic food may not be organic. And I'm not trying to criticize any particular brand or something like that, but I think the idea is that you have to be smart, educate yourself. You have to educate yourself, and to the extent that what is going to be helpful for your life, helpful for your body. And if you are going through the cancer treatment, I think you need to get hold of nutritionist oncologist who specializes, who can give you one-on-one guidance, because that is important. And you need help. The challenge that we face through in today's environment is these holistic treatments and nutrition piece. You need hand holding in that. You need guidance when you're going through. Unfortunately, the insurance companies don't reimburse it. And then the problem comes in with the resources at these institutions are very limited. So how do you then create that environment for yourself? Do you go outside and get one-on-one help? Maybe that's what it is required. But I think our foundation basically is going to educate, provide awareness, education. We want to bring experts over here who can teach you what to eat. Even Ayurvedic way of living is also very healthy living, and we're going to bring some Ayurvedic experts also on the panel on this podcast, so that we want to give choices to people, what's good out there, that they can pick and choose which is best for them.
Yeah, I want to commend you on starting this process, because it's pretty messy. There's a lot of variables right now. For example, I remember clearly the doctor encouraging Alka to eat red meat.
Yeah.
For iron. Remember that during this process, protein, right? For protein or iron. Yeah. So there is that aspect, then there's vegetarian aspect, and I don't think the doctors are opposed to a vegetarian diet. But
the doctors are not nutritionists, so they can recommend few things. But I think you need a person who specializes in nutrition aspect and give proper guidance. What you don't need is a PDF pre-printed
document saying do this.
Yeah, and throw it, because every person is different. So I think that is a missing link over here.
Yeah.
I think we need that help
Yeah.
out there.
Our viewers, you should be staying tuned to this podcast because we are making progress, right? Ajay is making
Absolutely.
progress in unpacking this whole thing and coming up to the extent possible an optimal way of dealing with a diagnosis like this or preventing even, to the extent possible. And we are very optimistic about a good future with that. A lot of experts, like you said, are going to be on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I have one other question before we wrap
Yeah.
up this podcast, Ajay. Like we have talked before, and you mentioned it briefly also just now, is the support of the family. Is when you talk about mindfulness or being grounded, it is also important for the family because the entire family is affected, as you know. It is of course it's the worst possible situation for the patient itself. For Alka, she had to go through, don't even want to talk about it, but the family too. So, and you could have, like I said before, you could have gone into a shell, but you didn't. And you've taken this as a mission. And not only that, you're very disciplined with the way you take care of yourself, your health, your regimen, you also drive us crazy with it, but anyway, so you're very, very strict with that. Tell me about that. How did you deal with it? Of course, we all dealt with it, but you were the most affected. And how did you bring mindfulness into you? And I really believe it's not just a matter, you didn't just change at that time. There's a backswing. It's the way you've been so many years that prepared you for this. Yeah.
Well, nobody expected this to happen to us. I think spiritually I'm very aligned. And I think at the age of 16 itself, I was going to the temple, praying every morning. And that habit basically continued day in the morning when I get up and after shower. And then at the bedtime, I go to do my 5-minute prayer and I do that. And I think that has carried me along, but I didn't know that God was preparing me for something like this. I think being everybody around was very helpful also because I had to work, I had to do my business, and in the midst take care of Alka. And I just became a complete dedicated part of her to make sure that she doesn't get she gets complete support. And I think commend her sister also because she played an important role. Everybody in the family, I don't want to isolate anyone, but I think we were 20 of us around over here and everybody was there every single day, not a day missed. And I think that really helped because it pepped her up. Kids were around, she was very laughing and felt part of we helped her kind of live through the process. Normally what would have taken maybe 14 months for her to live, it took her about 48 months to 60 months, actually 55 months for her to sort of live through the whole process. So I think we did things quite a bit together. We still argued, lived a normal life. But I think for me in silo was very difficult too. But I think God helped me through that process because I continually asked Him to give me the strength, give me the courage to go through this process. So I think that's all I have to say. I started doing meditation. I started doing yoga, now more like regular.
Now we can't stop you.
Yeah, and just because I want to live healthy for the...
You're meditating more often than you're not.
Yeah, but that is helping me because I want to make sure that I'm healthy for others and to make sure that this foundation is reaching out to many people and the women or the men who suffer the consequence of cancer is a cancer, whether it's a breast or whatever you. But I think the commonalities are there. I'm just more focused on the breast cancer because I want to take one thing at a time. And we want to win one woman at a time so that they can be educated. They are aware of what are the do's and don'ts. Number through this foundation, they have access to the source of information that they're looking for. Yeah. I think that's the bottom line because at the end of the day, I want these women to have a healthy living through the process and also have a better quality of life.
And we'll also have women who are going through this have been through this on the podcast. On this podcast. But this is just the warm-up part. We have to get the people that have been through it, the doctors, the experts, the holistic experts.
Right. Actually, the next podcast, we're going to have the program, the research program that we're working on. We're going to have these the leaders come on
Yeah.
the podcast one at a time to discuss the research project, and also their team is going to talk about what are the factors that they're taking into that consideration, how they're helping.
Great.
So it's going to be exciting.
Awesome, guys. So stay tuned, and thank you for tuning in today. Also, this is a great mission, Ahjay, and I can't wait for the next few podcasts and to continue with the story, so we can hopefully help a lot of people.
And we appreciate your support. alkaohri.org. Please go there, check out for the information, and your support will be appreciated. Thank you, Kumar.
Thank you.
Yeah.